Alright folks, today we are revisiting a topic that I have previously discussed on this channel, and that topic is group channels. About a year ago I made a video on what was and still is my favorite group channel on the platform, AMP, and in it I mentioned that the group that should be used as the perfect model for any aspiring groups on the internet was the Sidemen. And in another video, I believe I said I was going to make a video on them in the future. Well, the day has come, and for the next 10 minutes or so, we are going to be discussing all of the things that make the Sidemen work as one of the most successful group channels on YouTube. We have a lot to talk about, so I promise I will keep this backstory short. The Sidemen are a group of 7 British YouTubers who started out gaming together and built themselves into a giant entity known worldwide for their specific brand of humor and authentic enjoyment of each other. The members include JJ, Vic, Harry, Toby, Ethan, Josh, and Simon, with alternates like Calix, Calfreezy, and Stephen Tries appearing rather often as something like side characters. Across all of their collaborative channels, they have garnered 21 million subscribers and roughly 5.2 billion views. So the question at hand here is, how have they managed to become, in many people's eyes, the most popular group on the site? Well, there's a lot to unpack, so let's get started. First and foremost, I believe that the number one thing differentiating the group from the majority of their peers is the dynamic that they hold with each other. This is a big hindrance that I've observed in some of the contemporary groups coming out, as when you actually watch their content, it can be very hard to discern what actually individualizes every member. What I mean by this is that when taking a member of one of these groups and attempting to summarize what makes them different from their counterparts, it generally involves one word that only covers a surface level aspect. If we take 2Hype as an example, since they've essentially branded themselves as a B-grade version of the Sidemen, most of their members have done this, whether it be old, tryhard, or tall, the latter of which belonging to Christopher London, who has particularly branded his image over being tall, as his most famous and notorious item is a shirt that says Giraffe Gang. In comparison, and I am being absolutely honest about this, I truly don't think that one could do the same for most of the Sidemen. And even with the members that this does apply to, such as Josh being old and Ethan being a gym rat, there are still other attributes that each member holds that also play a factor in their personality. In addition, this also plays into the way the group handles humor. While other groups like 2Hype will take said attribute and form the joke around it, or sometimes leave the joke utterly underdeveloped by simply using the attribute as the joke, the Sidemen manage to not use them as a crutch. What they do is, instead of the aforementioned example, they will use said attributes as an improvised punchline that slides in almost perfectly after an already established setup. And when the Sidemen members are made fun of for certain things about themselves, they're able to recognize it as a joke, and as simple as that sounds, that's unfortunately a relatively rare occurrence in the modern state of the internet. Listen, I hate getting into the whole cancel culture and PC humor conversation here, but it is kind of necessary, so I'll keep it brief. In a lot of groups and continuous collaborative efforts that have been popping up nowadays, it's very hard to keep up a level of banter without some of the fan base watching, getting offended, and going to Twitter to cancel the person, even if the person on the receiving end of the joke has made it clear that it doesn't bother them whatsoever. The reason why the Sidemen stick out in this generation is because they have had so much tenure with each other to the point where there aren't boundaries for their comedy, because they know each other so well. Plus, even when they lean more on the offensive side of the humor spectrum, it never steps over the line of being generalized and derogatory towards a group of people. They tend to lean their jokes towards being about the specific situation they have found themselves in and a specific member, to which the recipient just laughs off. However, humor isn't the only sector of the word dynamic that I would like to take a look at, as the variety of personalities is also an important calling card of the Sidemen. And Harry well, I don't think Harry can really be labeled whatsoever. There's this quote that I quite like, which doesn't have an attributed author, that states, "Similarities create friendships, but differences hold them together." And I think that is bang on as to why the Sidemen are so successful. They're similar enough to have a good group camaraderie offline, prompting them to make videos and create a good rapport for the audience to watch, but their differences in interests and demeanor are what shine through to me as proving that they are more than simply a group channel and that they're authentic friends that just happen to be making videos on the internet together. Speaking of authenticity, that moves us along to my next point. One of the most interesting ideas that I will constantly mention on this channel is Bret Easton Ellis's theory of the empire versus post-empire mindset. Empire refers to, as Briannick Burnwick states, an overall denial of the ultimate frailty and delicateness of human existence, which I have always compared to the side of YouTube that puts on a persona of visibly forced happiness for their audience in their videos. And in contrast, post-empire refers to being open with the struggles that you're going through. And I think that the Sidemen are exemplary in doing such. And I also think there's a line of being emotional with the sole purpose, the being to exploit one's audience, that they never really cross. They find themselves in that perfect area of authenticity where they are letting their audiences see their true selves, good or bad, without allowing the relationship they have with their audience to become parasocial, which has been a point of contention among other popular creators nowadays. In other words, they don't overshare their emotions in a pandering manner, but they share enough to provide a true feeling of humanity at times that aren't opportunistic. And that's a very rare thing to see on YouTube. And speaking of humanity, I think that's the final point I want to make about this group of gentlemen. YouTube has become an incredibly material platform where possessions, celebrities, and corporations completely dominate the upper echelon. Creators with a following of millions of people are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by some of the biggest companies in the world to push their products to the younger generation. Although it may have started off as a simple website that people uploaded videos to for fun and enjoyment, YouTube has undoubtedly turned into a giant in the entertainment industry. And although from a business person perspective, I don't blame it whatsoever, as it's just going through natural evolution and progression that a company does, as a viewer it peeves me to no end when I look in the trending tab and the only videos that aren't music videos, late night television interviews, or movie trailers are "you spell it, you buy it" challenges or sponsored content. So when I look over there and see a group of friends in their 20s playing drunk bingo or going on a terrible vacation in a video that's completely self-funded and doesn't include a sponsorship, it reminds me there are still real people on this website. In fact, I think that's the ultimate appeal of the Sidemen. The fact that they are just a group of normal guys who didn't get absorbed in the turbulent nature of clout culture and managed to be themselves, aside from natural maturation, throughout their entire journey on the internet. And not only did they manage to not lose themselves, they managed to maintain an incredible friend group derived from the internet for close to a decade without any bumps in the road. Well, aside from the diss track era that was confirmed by KSI to be partially real and partially for show, but even that is a testament to the group. That period of time contained a level of earth-shattering drama that most groups simply would not be able to come back from. Plus, the whole beef only spanned roughly a month of time, which, out of almost 8 years making content together, isn't really that much. There wasn't even a visible fracture when they returned to making content together, but the whole ordeal did contribute to the idea that the group was still human and able to make mistakes, and everything still turned out okay. At the end of the day, I don't really need to tell you why the Sidemen are the perfect YouTube group. There are millions of fans out there that can explain it to you. That being said, if there's one statement you can take away from this video, let it be this. The Sidemen are the best group channel on YouTube because
I'm richer than you and I'm more fucking relevant.
Leo knows I did that.
Blocked! You have been blocked! You have been virtually blocked. Do you want to be blocked as well?
Yes. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, that would be nifty. Thanks to my patrons Carl McGee and Weston Kentucky. The link to my Patreon as well as my Twitter is in the description. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.